Hi, welcome back to my channel, guys. Let me put on my bracelet because my bracelet's really pretty. I don't know. So first I just want to say thank you to my new subscriber. I don't know. It's like, it doesn't matter that I only have five subscribers, just the idea that like 5 people want to keep up with me and find out what I'm doing feels really good. And I know 2 of those subscribers are my mom and Ivy. And I'm so grateful that I have a mom and a best friend that, like, I don't know, want to support me. So that's really nice. And to the rest of the 6 minus 2 equals 4, the other 4 people that are here, thank you. It really, really is appreciated and seen, and I'm grateful. So I'm back with another book roundup. This week we're looking at Diane Chamberlain. We have 3 of her books. And I think this is probably going to be my last Diane Chamberlain sort of book. This was the most recent one that I read. Just because I am getting back into like reading for work. Not in a bad way though, like I love what I have to read for work. So you're probably going to see like a lot more African lit stuff on the channel, you know, in the coming weeks. But until then, it's Diane Chamberlain. So, what I love about her, right? Cozy dramas. If you want something to kind of curl up with in the fall and just something that kind of moves nice and quickly, like the book moves fast, plots are really good, twists and turns, shockers, all of it. Diane Chamberlain really is the person you want to go to. So I'm going to start with Last House on the Street. So, I mean, this book, I think, is another book that jumps between like 2 time periods, 1965, 2010. In 1965, it's about a girl who lives in the South. Her name is Ellie. And she wants to join the, so in the 1960s, there was like this movement from the north. It was part of like basically Ellie wants to join this movement, which is getting like Black people to register to vote, which is another reminder: go vote, people. Okay, people died for your right to vote, so don't waste that. Doesn't matter who you pick, just pick someone. Well, it does matter who you pick, so pick the right person. Anyway, so she wants to join this program, and is it called the Freedom Rides? I forget what the program is officially called, but it was a program where North Americans came down to the South to get Black people to register to vote. And she's a girl who lives in the South in North Carolina, and she wants to get people registered to vote. And then it jumps between Kayla, who's in 2010. She's an architect. She's just moved into a house, and everyone keeps telling her, girl, do not move into that house. It's not a great place. I won't ruin the plot, but essentially, Ellie finds out that that close family members are part of the KKK. So that's as much as I'll ruin. I don't want to ruin the book for anyone. So, I mean, I really enjoyed it, obviously. But my one critique with Diane Chamberlain, and particularly in this book, is, I don't know, I just feel like she very conveniently places the most racist characters as characters who are already dead or clearly unlikable. And I feel like that doesn't do a really great service if you're trying to write a book around race and how organizations like the KKK like actually interacted with Black communities that were actually living there. Because the truth is, even nice and likable people were part of these organizations. So my one critique about this book is that like it really does work hard to keep like racism and bad people either in the South, well, racism and racist people either in the past, in the South, or as people who are very clearly bad. She kind of commits, she perpetuates problems that are addressed in every like how to not be racist 101. So that's my one critique on that book. And then I read The Stolen Marriage, and I was really like drawn to this one just because, right, the stolen fucking marriage, that sounds so juicy. And it is juicy, I suppose. Like, it turns out to be like a really nice story and everything works well. Again, suspense, plot, twists and turns, all of the great stuff. But what I think is most interesting about this story is what she says towards the back. So the story essentially opens up with this woman who hooks up with this guy. It's 1944. And yeah, they go out on a drunk night and he comes into her room and, you know, plunges a kiss on her, and then it all goes forward. So of course, as a current reader, I was like, okay, that's a little bit sexual assaulty. But I kind of went along with it until I read the back of the book. And Chamberlain talks about an experience she had, you know, on a trip with friends. One night, you know, one too many drinks, and some guy comes into her room and plunges a kiss on her, and, you know, the evening goes the way that it does. And she mentions that she did not know how to call it sexual assault or rape until the post-Me Too movement. So what I think is interesting about this book is that, interestingly enough, she is writing this book out of a really bad experience that she's had. Now, the book does get into the guy who did this, and we get like a fuller picture of him, we get a fuller story of him. And you really do learn how, like, even he didn't understand what he did as sexual assault. That doesn't make it any less wrong. It does not make it wrong. But it does say something about how limited scripts used to be, and I would argue still are, around what is sexual assault, when does it happen, how do we talk about it. And I feel like she also kind of demonstrates how it's possible for someone to perpetrate sexual assault without completely knowing it. And that if we don't find more sophisticated ways of talking about this, not only do we harm the women who are targeted by this kind of violence, or who are most clearly affected by this kind of violence, we also, in a very uncomfortable way, enable unknowing perpetrators. To be clear, I am not excusing perpetrators. I am not saying that, oh, none of them know what they're doing. No. There are plenty of cases where these people know exactly what they're doing. I am not talking about all of those other cases. I'm not talking about those cases. I'm talking about this particular book, this particular character, and Diane Chamberlain's inspiration for it. So I think this book is interesting for the place that it comes from in her. And for me, at least, this is evidence of like how much it matters to talk about sexual assault, to make it more normal for women to come forward and talk about the things that have happened to them, and then make it more normal for men to come forward and say, shit, I think I did this thing, and I don't know how to deal with that. I don't know if that's a controversial opinion or not, but, you know, We're on YouTube. We could get cancelled anytime. Hello!
Sorry.
No! It's nice to have you. You look so nice in your hoodie.
You want to sit in here?
No.
What do you want to do?
Do you want to just stand still whilst I quickly move through this book and then I'm done? And so last but certainly not least is The Dream Daughter. This is like a older book, and then this is a 2020 book. Last House on the Street is a 2020 book. This one is an older book. I don't know how old. I don't feel like paging through it. And then this is, I think, the most recent, if I'm not mistaken. I really should just check, but you know. So this is her first foray into sci-fi. And again, compelling story. I really, really like the story and the twists and the turns. But this is the one place where I'm like, okay, if you're gonna do like the sci-fi time bendy thing, then you really do need to attend to like the finer details. And there are like details in here that like don't completely add up. I won't spoil it for you, but there's a character Hunter where if you like just think about it a little bit, you don't even have to think that hard, you realize that at some point there will be two versions of him, a teenage version of him and an adult version of him. And I don't know anything about the physics of time change or whatever, but I think the world would explode if there were like two versions of one person at the same time, you know? So that's my only critique here. Great story, great characters, very compelling. But if you're gonna do the time thing, do the time thing, you know? And I know there are other things that like deal with time change and that kind of thing. I think it was the Time Traveler's Wife that also does this, and it does this in like a not very sciencey woo-woo way. And I don't know, like if it's gonna be very clearly woo-woo, then let it be woo-woo. But here, one of the characters is like an astrophysicist and it's like figured out the physics of time travel. So if you're gonna like open up that door, then go through the door, you know? Like with Christopher Nolan, Interstellar. Sorry, I'm totally stealing everything you've told me. If you watch Interstellar with Christopher Nolan, he at least like consulted a physicist, some Nobel Prize winning guy. So I feel like, yeah, if you're gonna do the time travel thing and open up the science door, then like talk to a few physicists, find out like what makes sense, what doesn't make sense. Just tighten that up a little bit more, you know? Because interesting enough, like I actually do think like when people try to incorporate concepts that come from like physics and science and that kind of thing into storytelling and fiction, I do kind of think like you kind of plant seeds that kind of, you know, lead people into new and interesting careers. But do it right. Like, do it, you know? So that's my roundup of Diane Chamberlain. If you want more, I made a video of another 2 of her books. But I think that's going to be it with Diane Chamberlain for a while. Or at least until I'm feeling like nostalgic for my teenage self. All right, that's a wrap. Bye! YouTube's not gonna know what?
You have to say like and subscribe or they won't know what to do because they're...
Like and subscribe because you don't know what to do.